I'm sure we are live.
In a minute?
We're cancer pop.
Wish. They didn't tell me that we're waiting here today. I brought water. Good afternoon, everyone. The hour being 5:30 p.m. on Tuesday, November 26, 2024. I will now call the Public Works and Service Committee meeting order. Mr. Britschloff, would you call the roll, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Alder Jones.
Present.
Alder Escada.
I have not heard from her.
She did say she would be attending via Zoom, so maybe she'll log in. Alder Mack. Alder Perez. Vacation. Alder Harmon.
Present. Thank you. First item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes for November 12th, 2024. I'll second. It has been properly moved in second that the minutes for November 27th, 2024 be approved. Any questions, comments, corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. First item on the agenda is 10:55:24, communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Department of Parks, Recreation, and Culture Services, submitting change order number 1 to contract 2024-088 Island Park parking lot improvement. The line contractor. Staff recommendation that change order number 1 to contract 2024-088 Island Park parking lot improvement. Contractors be approved in the amount of $40,177.35. Physical note funding for this change order is credited in the following order objects: 45050571110 parkland improvements. And we have Mr. Boucher.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
This project has been started. We're in the middle. It will be finished in the spring because of temperatures and weather. The change order is for some extra water line additions. We were not able to tie into the water main where we had intended to, so we had to add some extra piping and meters. And we also added some extra drainage to the parking lot, so we added some extra materials. That's what the reconciliation quantities is. So we have pitch on the parking lot. Question?
You approve.
The motion is second to approve item 105524. Questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Our next item, 1058-24, communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Department of Parks, Recreation, and Culture Services, submitting change order number 1, contract 2024-179, Michigan Pathway Drainage Upgrade, A.W. Oaks and Son contractor. Staff recommendations that change order number 1 to contract 179 Michigan Pathway Drainway Upgrade, A.W. Oaks and Son Inc. contractors be approved in the deduct amount of $57,094.02. Physical note funding for this change order is credited in order objects 45050571110 parkland improvements.
You approve.
Second, Mr. Boucher was.
Oh, good. You guys good.
It's a teaching. Anyways, seeing no further questions, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item is 1067-24. Department of Parks, Recreation and Cultural Service submitting change order number 2 to contract 202-4087 Mount Cemetery Road pavement. Payne and Dolan Inc. contractors. Staff recommendation that change order number 2 to contract 202-4087 Mound Cemetery Road paving, Payne and Dolan Inc. Contracts be approved in the deduct amount of $10,000. The
Move to
comment
approve.
of why this was deducted.
This was conducted because they failed to meet the RWP standards, that always worked.
All right, second. Thank you. It's been moved and properly second that item 1067-24 be approved. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. The chair votes aye. The chair, we only have the three of us so far. The next item is 1069-24 communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Department of Parks, Recreation and Cultural Services, submitting final payment contract on contract 202-1087 Mount Cemetery Road paving, Payne and Dolan contractors. Staff recommendation that the work completed by Payne and Dolan contractors on 202-1087 Mount Cemetery Road paving be accepted and final payments authorized for a total contract amount of $143,602.98. Final payment to include retainage. Physical note contract 2024087 was authorized under resolution number 0358-24 dated March 19, 2024.
That was a project we just finished and didn't hit the required amount of hours for the RWP, but they did finish under budget anyway. And you guys drive through the front third of Mound Cemetery. It looks gorgeous right now with it all paved and rest over. The grass is already growing and everything, so we're very happy with how everything turned out.
Move to approve.
Second. A motion and second to approve item 1065-24. Seeing no further questions or comments, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Our next item is
Excuse me, Madam Chair. Alder Mosqueda has joined us.
Oh, all right. Can you hear us all right?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Crystal. I had looked at the board. The next item is 0967-24 communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Park Recreation and Cultural Services requesting to waive formal bidding for the purchase of a case tractor loader. Staff recommendation that the request of Park Recreation and Cultural Services to waive formal bidding procedures for the purchase of a case tractor loader be approved. Physical note funding is available in Ford Objects 45050-57300 Parks and Recreation Equipment vehicles. Mr. Moultrie.
Yeah, this is just a sole source. The city works with this contractor with Miller Bradford and Riceburg for most of their equipment. So it stays the same with parts and their maintenance and all that good stuff. So they have a working organization with us that should keep prices down.
And move to approve.
Second. The motion is second to approve item 0967-24. There no further questions, comments, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
The next item is 0966-24 communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Assistant Commissioner of Public Works Operation requested to waive formal bidding procedures for the purchase of material for the Johnson Control Matchstick System. Staff recommendation that the request of the Assistant Commissioner of Public Works Operation to waive formal bidding procedures for the purchase of material be approved. Public Johnson Control. I saying that right, Minister?
Medicine.
Medicine, okay. Building automatic automation system. Physical note funds to defer the cost of these services available in Port Object 70240-57-200 building improvements. Mr. Fritzlaw?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a way of formal bid or sort of, however you'd like to look at it, for Johnson Controls. Johnson Controls is provider for our building automation system. In other words, we use a building automation system to control valves, HVAC, all those steam, all those things. And we have that set up for all of our buildings, so it is continuous, so it is compatible. Our building people can control all these buildings remotely if there's an issue. That's how this works.
So they're notified as emergencies as well remote. Move to approve.
Second. Motion and second to approve item 0937-24. Excuse me, I'm sorry. It is 1067-. Seeing no further questions, comments, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The next item is 0937-24. Communications sponsored by the chair. On behalf of the Assistant Commissioner of Public Works, requesting to waive formal bidding procedures for the purchase of Nina Foundry sewer related materials. Staff recommendation that the request of the Assistant Commissioner of Public Works to waive formal bidding procedures for the purchase of Nina Foundry products be approved. These negotiations will be done on an as-needed basis with funding available in Port Objects 22-640-57560 sanitary sewer and 60484-57570 storm sewer. Mr. Fritzlaw.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The staff is requesting that the purchasing agent be authorized to negotiate for the purchase of these items. They include sewer inlets, manhole covers, manhole frames, catch basin covers, all those cast iron things that you see in the road and the curb and whatnot. We use in the Nina Foundry. Are how we spec our catch basins. They are how we spec the actual manholes themselves. They're fairly local, and we've used them for I don't know how many years.
Before my time, decades. So where's that? Yeah. I move to approve.
I only have one question. Nina Foundry is the sole provider for replacement. Is that because we've used them for decades? I'm not on project.
Yeah, there's other foundries that produce similar type stuff, but our inlets and castings for manhole covers and everything are all Nina Foundry. So Nina Foundry lids only fit in Nina Foundry castings. So yes.
That was my only question.
Yeah.
Second.
Motion.
You're in a municipality in Michigan, probably are waiting formal bidding to work with Jordan Iron Works, for example. So this is the local manufacturer in Wisconsin.
Thank you for that explanation. I appreciate it.
Motion is in order.
Yeah, in a second.
And second.
Yeah.
My apology. Okay, it's been motion and second that we approve item 0937-24. Seeing no further questions, comments, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next item, 0987-24, communications sponsored by the chair. On behalf of the Assistant Commissioner of Public Works, requesting to waive formal bidding procedures for 2025 roof removal and roofing services from mobile reduction. Staff recommendation that the request of the Assistant Commissioner of Public Works to waive formal bidding for the first removal and wood chipping service from mobile reduction be approved. Physical note funding to defray the cost of these services is available in Port Objects 22-140-52-200 contracted services Mr. Critchlow.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We are requesting that, reductions that be used as our sole source for all things that happen at Pearl Street, the grinding, the crushing of all of our brush, grass, whatever happens to show up at Pearl Street on Wednesdays and Saturdays. We've worked with them for over a decade. They're local in Sturtevant. We will not get a better price. They do come when we ask them. They are here probably the same day. So if we have, for some reason, we have a big, a lot of times, like beginning of spring, you'll have a big influx of brush. They will get in there and they'll take care of whatever is needed at the time. So, and at the cheapest price. So I recommend approval.
Move to approve.
Second. I have one question. Are they still open now on Wednesdays and Saturdays? Pearl Street?
Throughout the year.
Okay.
Yep.
Just wanted to make sure. Thank you. And motion to second to approve item 0987-24. Any further questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The next item is 0997-24, communication sponsored by the chair. On behalf of the city engineer, request to read from a bidding for the replacement and maintenance of dock items. Excuse me.
Page 4.
Okay, yeah, I flipped my pages for some reason here. Okay, staff recommendation, Public Works and Service Committee, at the request of the city engineer to waive formal bidding for the replacement and maintenance of dock items be approved. This will note these negotiations will be done on an as-needed basis with funding available in Port Objects 20-619-53-200 Harbor Commission. Mr. Mullender.
Just the background of this, the initial upgrade to the harbor was done in '86, I believe. And up until that time, there is a walkway that goes around the 5th Street or 6th Street launch. And then there's also 3 docks that were all hauled into the Reed Point Marina. I was having a hard time remembering what marina. And they were all tethered to the end of those docks. And the county is replacing that whole dock system over the next 5 years, spending $32 million to do it. And they no longer want docks tethered to the end of theirs. Their brand new system. So we had to find new places for all these things for winter. So we're basically, I don't know if you've noticed, but we hauled out the walkway that goes around the 6th Street boat launch is in the parking lot for the 6th Street launch. And the other 2 have been hauled out at the Rivers End Marina and taken apart and stored near their property. So basically what we have is these 3 docks that are from the Rooney Recreational, the Pew Recreational, that are in pieces now that need to be inspected. There's parts that are, this is the first time they've been on the water in decades. So they need to be cleaned off, and then we're gonna have Porter-Pier come down and see if they can either be have maintenance done to them or replace them. They're kind of one-off specialized docks for those locations. And we're just trying to streamline the process so we don't have to go out for formal bidding to either do some maintenance to those docks or replace those docks.
Second. The motion is second to approve item 0997-24. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Our next item is 1056-24. Communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Department of Public Works submitting bid results for contract 2024-209 with Steam Fuel Depot upgrade. That recommendation that contract 2024 209, Racine Fuel Depot upgrade be awarded to M&M Mid-Valley Supply in the amount of $649,502.10, along with their alternate bid 2 in the amount of $20,000, making the total $669,502.10, they being the lowest responsible bidder. Funding is available in Port Objects 45040 57110. Mr. Pritchlow.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We did receive bids on Wednesday, November 20th with Fuel Depot. We received 5 bids. Each bidder provided a base bid, an alternative 1, and an alternate 2 bid. Alternative 1, so the project was originally bid out in 2 phases. So when we do the work to our Fuel Depot, we service not only public works, but police, fire, county, parks, wastewater. So, in order to keep those folks, in business with fuel, the project was bid at, in 2 phases. So that alternative 1, that deduct amount for completing the project in 1 phase, that was simply how much less, because the contractor will have to spend less time. How much less will the project cost if we just do it in 1 phase? For instance, we give everybody gas cards, or we have some temporary fueling tanks on site, or something like that. And then the alternative 2 was removing the compressor building that's on site. So after evaluating the bids, we discovered, well, we found out that alternative 1, there was no bang for the buck there. We could not, I mean, it would cost us probably more money in the long run than, if you take, if you're looking at $28,000, less to do it in 1 phase, we're going to spend that amount of money and bringing in temporary tanks, having them constantly refueled and maintained, and all those other things. So that is the reason we're not recommending awarding alternative 1. We are recommending awarding the base bid and alternate 2 for M&M Mid-Valley Supply. So the total with those 2 will be $669,502.10. The budget for this particular project is $850,000. So
Approved. And just if I might add as well, I think I'd be remiss if I didn't remind the committee we rebid this project. So this project was bid out originally with Racine Works Pro. It's kind of a niche type of project. You don't replace a fuel depot every year, every 5 years, every 10 years. This is something that was last done 30 years ago. Specialized work, specialized equipment, labor, what have you. So if you remember, we did get 1 bid because of that requirement, and we asked that department to be waived because we didn't think it would apply, and I think the right decision was made. It was waived by the administration. We rebid it. We got 5 bids. The only 1 bid we had the last time, I think, was close to 900,000. Bid run.
yeah, and so the petroleum equipment, they actually lowered their base bid by 60-some
Yeah,
thousand.
so we brought it back for those reasons. If you're remembering why we asked you to receive and file that bid the first time we rebid without Racine Works, and it obviously was very helpful. So thank you for letting me explain that.
I appreciate it. Any further questions, comments? From committee members or staff? Saying none, a motion is in order.
It is motion and second.
It was quick. Okay.
Hard to argue with the lowest responsible bidder,
It's
especially if it's under budget.
anyways, seeing no further questions, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion passes. Item on our agenda is 052-24. Communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Department of Public Works. Committee change order number 1, contract 2024-066-2024. Sanitary sewer repairs, Genesis Excavating Inc. Contractor. That recommendation that change order number 1, contract 2024-066-2024, sanitary sewer repairs, Genesis Excavators Inc. Contractors be approved in the amount of $83,653. Physical note funding for the change order is available in order objects 22,640, 57,560 sanitary sewer. It's Mr. Mulliger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a kind of condensed version of this. This is basically for Blake Avenue when they started. This is a project that involves about 6 different sanitary sewer repair sites spread across town. Blake Avenue, when they started excavating for the sewer repair, they had to replace approximately 250 feet of sanitary sewer. The water main, which is about 10 feet away, was backfilled and granular and started basically eroding underneath the pavement of the saw cut of the pavement. So we had to cut back further and then backfill above the water main and the sanitary sewer to maintain our road. So this is a pretty expensive change order, but we'll probably make that up and rectify it if we can eliminate one of the sites.
You do approve.
Second.
Motion is second to approve items 1056-24.
I think Alderman Perez has joined us now.
That's
He's
it.
waving.
You can hear us all right, Alder Perez?
Quick question, it has been. Do you know approximately, or do you think you know which site might be eliminated?
Yeah, there's a site underneath the 6th Street Bridge. And they basically can't get to it. It's underneath a 2-foot concrete cap. So we're gonna look at different options, possibly lining that pipe, or lining most of the pipe and then just punching a hole through it where we actually have to get next to a structure to fix it.
And it'll be just as efficient if we.
Yeah, I mean, yes, the lining is, the cured in place, liner ends up being much stronger than the old clay pipe that was there anyway, so.
Excuse me, is this the new West 6th Street Bridge?
What's that? No, this is the middle one. Between Mound and,
Racine Street.
Okay,
yeah,
all right, thank you.
We're rehabbing that bridge with WSDOT next year. As part of the bipartisan infrastructure law money, so we're doing some utility repairs.
Which
Related to the
district is
bridge.
that in?
Pardon?
Which district? I'm just asking. Does anybody know which district?
Aldermanic district?
I have no idea. It's literally right, there. Yeah.
Now,
Second, third, I don't know.
where is it at?
It's under, so the bridge that we're doing with the WSDOT project is, on the surface, it's up above, and then the actual sewer work is down below. There's a couple of buildings that go way down below, and there's a sewer that's underneath the bridge, and I don't know why or how.
Where is the bridge?
Right by, where you said it used to be the Gospel Lighthouse building.
Yeah,
Yes,
Yeah, they were gonna plan a project to rehabilitate that building and repurpose it. Yeah, it's right next to that. It's the bridge. The part of the span crosses the river. And then we've got piers that also cross the land back to the
Yeah.
eastmost of
is
Buckner.
there a building still there?
Not underneath the bridge anymore, no, but
But I'm
that,
saying next to the.
Yeah.
river.
yeah,
that building's
Okay.
still there, was never.
yeah, there's a building that, and actually their properties go down to the river, but, on both sides of the bridge, on the east end of it. But, yeah, and the sewer's underneath the portion of the bridge that's, still above land, but still above grade.
And that's the portion that we need to work
Yes.
on. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You have a
Let's get a motion and second.
Okay, and seeing no further questions, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion passes. Next item is 1057-4. Communications sponsored by the chair on behalf of Department of Public Works, committing change order number 2 to contract 2024-054 accessible streets and alleys, Milwaukee General Contractor. Staff recommendation, Change order number 2, contract 2024-054, accessible streets and alleys, Milwaukee General. Milwaukee General Construction contract to be approved in the deduct amount of $2,358.04. Funding for this change order is credited in the following: 4504057 DPW sidewalk replacement, $3,066.14. The next one item is 40104 concrete alley paving accessible, $708.10. Total amount $2,358.04. Mr. Hughes,
That's the one. This is basically a rectifying change order for the project. There's, several things that, were, that increased, and there are several things that decreased, and, net gain was a $2,358 deduct for the project.
Go to approve.
Second.
motion and second to approve item 1057-4. Seeing no further questions, comments, all those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Oliver Perez, did you have a question at all? Thank you. The next item is 1059-24, communications sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Department of Public Works, submitting change order number 9 to contract 2023029. Receiving Public Works Transfer Station, check construction contractor. Staff recommendation that change order number 9 to contract 2023029. Receiving Public Works Transfer Station, check construction contract is to be approved in the amount of $1,001. Funding for this change order is available in Port Objects 45040 57110 Transfer Station. Mr. Fritloff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is the last change order for the transfer station prior to the next item, which is final payment. And this is some damage our young people did to a plumbing pipe that kind of down in the area where municipal solid waste is handled.
Move to approve.
Motion and second to approve item 1059-24. Excuse me, if we have a motion and second. Any further questions, comments? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? His mic is still on.
Drive.
Yeah. Don't want to distract them.
That's what it
Oh.
looks like.
Okay.
I could be.
The next item, excuse me, is 1048-24, communications sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Department of Public Works, submitting change order number 1, contract 2023-378, some installation program, PM plumbing and mechanical contract.
No, US farm.
I skip one? Okay.
105.
Okay, then I'll go back to that one. I'll just finish this one out and then go back to that one. That recommendation, change order number 1 to contract. Number 1 to contract. Well, 2023-278. Sun pump installation program, PM plumbing and mechanical contract to be approved in the deduct amount of $420,119.56. Funding for this change order is credited in Port Objects 40101 sanitary sewer.
Move to approve.
Second.
We move the second to approve item 1048-24. Any comments, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we're back to items 1054-24. Communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Department of Public Works, submitting file payment for contract 2023-029. Racine Public Works Transfer Station Project Construction Contractor. Staff recommendation that the work completed by Rupert Construction Contractors on 2023-029 Racine Public Works Transfer Station be accepted and final payment authorized for a total contract amount of $4,804,626.61. Final payment to include retainage. Fiscal note, contract 2023-029 was authorized under resolution number 0314-23 dated April 17th, 2020.
Move to approve.
Second. Mr. Christoph, did you have any comments that you'd like to make on that one?
The only thing I have is we've accepted the work. It is probably the first building construction. I don't know, Commissioner Rudy might know, but we haven't built a building here in the city of Racine in awfully long time. So it is done. It's done to our satisfaction, and we are really authorize final.
We set up this office.
Mr. Moody, you remember last time we had a building built?
Oh, boy, for Public Works,
Yeah.
a long time.
Well, probably ain't even born yet, John.
We have a motion in second. And any further questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion passes. He's still there. I couldn't see all the careers there, but there he is. He's in the bottom screen now, that and the top screen.
Long as phone.
The next item, 1049-24, is that the correct one?
Correct.
I don't think I circled my number. That's how I've been keeping it up circling, so I didn't circle that one. Anyways, communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Department of Public Works, submitting final payment for contract 2023-278 Sun Pump Installation Program, PM Plumbing and Mechanical Contractors. Staff recommendation that the work completed by PM Plumbing and Mechanical Contractors on 2023-278 Sun Pump Installation Program be accepted and final payment authorized for a total contract amount of $126,760.41. Final payments to include retainage. Physical note contract 2023-278 was authorized on resolution number 1135-23 dated December 5th, 2023.
Move to approve.
Okay. The motion is second to approve item 1049-24. Any questions, comments? No comments? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, the motion passes. Our next item is 1047-24, communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the city engineer, submitting contract 2025-002-2025 sanitary sewer lateral repair fixed prices. Staff recommendation to the Public Works Service Committee that the 2025 sanitary sewer lateral repair fixed price be approved. Physical note funding is available in order objects 22-640, 54-400 sanitary sewer lateral infrastructure repairs. And 47, Mr. Winter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This one and the next item are pretty much the same thing. One's for sanitary, one's for storm. We basically go out to contractors and have them submit prices that they will do our emergency repair program for the following year. This one is the sanitary sewer one. We basically get their prices back. We average them out. And then we, approve those prices. And then we send them basically a letter stating back to the contractors. If they agree to those terms, they sign the paper and send it back, and then they can do our emergency repairs. So we don't have to go out to bid on each one of the laterals and or, manhole fixes or whatever we need to do on an annual basis. So this is the first time we've had it come to committee for this in about 4 years, but here we are.
Second.
It's a motion and second to approve item 1049-24.
1047-24.
Is that what we're on?
Yes.
Mhm.
Next one is very similar.
Yes. Oh, okay. I didn't circle my number. I apologize. The next item is 1053-24, communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the city engineer submitting contract 2025-004-2025 storm field repair fixed pricing.
And Chair, we never really took the vote on the previous item. We just had a motion to move to the second.
But we didn't vote on it.
We didn't vote on it.
All right, let me finish this one and then I'll ask for the vote on that one.
Maybe we
Or
can
should
take up,
we-
we can take up both of them at the same time.
Okay, that'll work. All right, then, next item we are on is
1053-24.
Bottom of
All
page
right.
6.
communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the city engineer submitting contract 2025-004-2025 storm sewer repair fixed pricing. The staff recommendation that the 2025 storm sewer fixed price be approved. As the note funding is available at order object 604845400 storm sewer entry.
Move to approve.
And we did both of those at the same time.
And I second.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Our next item is 105024. Communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Commissioner of Public Works. Requesting the acceptance of Wisconsin Targeted Runoff Management Grant. Grant number TUC 51276 Y25 funds from the state of Wisconsin. Staff recommendation that the grant be accepted in the amount of $225,000.
Move to approve.
Second. And who can summarize this real quick?
I'll take this one in.
Okay, all right. It does say you, Mr. Bennett.
Yes, back in January this year, I actually penned a letter to then Alder West, who was the chair of the Finance and Personnel Committee, to get permission to apply for a couple of grants that were available to help pay for a green infrastructure project that we're doing uptown. So in uptown, kind of like where the old corner house was, that's the way for me to describe it. We've got some alleys and some parking lots back there that we're gonna convert to green alleys and put bioretention in part of the parking lot that is really not used to help manage and filter stormwater. So we put this in the budget as a project to do that. Some of the money was coming from the parking system, this parking system lot. Some of the money was coming from stormwater utility because it was a stormwater project. These are things that we get credit for total suspended solid reductions. And then part of the budget was we were hoping to get one or two of these grants. We did the application, and the targeted runoff management grant, the maximum amount available is $225,000. These are competitive grants. We submitted our like 60% design plans, the intent of the project. And what they do is they rank them, and then they distribute monies, and when they run out of the allotted money, if you don't land in the top rankings,
you don't get it. So, if they want to stretch the money to other projects, they think they're also, you know, viable projects, they can reduce it, but we were found to have a very good project, and they gave us full grant amount of $225,000 for this project, which we're very happy. So
Very happy.
we're here to ask the committee to accept the grant.
Spring Alley.
So it's a project in, I believe, Alder, Davis's district. I know that.
Okay,
I do know that this project is in their district.
it's been approved and second.
Do you have a motion and a second to accept the grant?
Of course, we will accept it. Anyways, any further questions? Being none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So, communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Commission of Public Works request to accept the Wisconsin Urban Nonprofit Source Pollution Abatement and Stormwater Management Program Construction Grant Agreement, grant number USC 512-1160. Y25 funds from the state of Wisconsin. Staff recommendation that the grant be accepted in the total amount of $150,000. 51, Mr. Rooney.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Again, another grant that's available to fund a project like this. This is through Urban Non-Point Source Pollution Reduction Grant. And again, the max amount for this particular project was $150,000. And the DNR and the review committee found it fit to grant us again the maximum amount. So between these two, $375,000 we're going to be paying for, you know, almost over 2/3 of this project with grant funding. So another grant that we applied for, we were hoping to get one or two, and the most we could out of one, we got them both. We got max amount, so we're very happy. We're asking the committee to approve, accepting the grant.
Second.
The motion is second to approve. Item 1051. Yes. 300,000. Very good. Motion and second? Okay. All of those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Our next item is 0935-24. Communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the city engineer submitting the assessment rates established for 2025 public hearings for 2026 construction Portland cement, concrete paving, and urban gutters. Staff recommendation that the proposed special assessment rate established for 2025 public hearing for 2026 construction Portland cement, concrete, paving and curbs and gutters be approved. Physical note, these rates are established so that the abutting property owners pays 100% of the cost of such street repavement. Mr. Molinger.
These are our annual assessment rates. Basically, we need these approved, so when we go to public hearing next spring for construction in 2026, these are the rates that are in the commissioner's reports for each of the locations, either the alleys or the streets. To approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve item 0935-24. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Our next item is 0992-24. Communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the city engineer amendment chapter 94, article 3, division 2, parking regulation, section 94-141, no parking zone, schedule F. Add the following items from section 1, no parking anytime. Chicago Street, both sides from Spring Street to 100 feet south. Michigan Road, Meacham Road, west side from Maryland Avenue to 95 feet north. Eden lanes both sides from 25 south of cul-de-sac to the north. Edited the following items from section 1, no parking anytime. From Knowles Place west side from Maryland Avenue to Grosswood Avenue. To Knowles Place both sides from Maryland Avenue. Staff recommendation, Public Works and Service Committee to approve the amendments. Motion to approve, oh, excuse me.
So, yeah, these are, thank you, Madam Chair, but these are when the alders, come to me and request me to complete traffic studies and observe, situations out in the, this is basically just a laundry list of 4 sites that came up with traffic studies to alter parking for for vision, for a bunch of other things. So Chicago Street and Meacham are pretty much the same thing, where cars are parking and they're blocking the vision of cars trying to get out on, Chicago Street, they're trying to get out on Spring Street. Meacham, they're trying to get out on Meacham from Maryland. And the parked vehicles are blocking their view. So we're just moving those parked vehicles away from the intersection to increase that vision triangle. Eaton Lane, similar situation. It's a cul-de-sac at the end of a very long kind of a road that we just reconstructed last year. It's a ball cul-de-sac at the end of it that there's on the city of Racine side. It's a lot of commercial business industry. They have trucks, and the trucks can't make the turn in the cul-de-sac. On the resident side, the west side is actually Mount Pleasant, and they're going through the same process of the same location right now. Once theirs is approved, then signs can go up, but the trucks need to use that full ball to turn their vehicle around. The last one is Knoll Place. I'm sure if you've been on Drexel Avenue trying to get over to what's that road? Whatever. You do have to do that little jog to get down to Durand Avenue going through the industrial park. It's a narrower road than usual, and there's no parking on the west side currently. And it's also on the bike path, Lake Michigan bike path. It's a bus route, and there's just not enough room for parking, buses, accommodate the bike path and stuff like that. So we want to eliminate. There's just a one short block where we want to eliminate parking.
Move to approve.
Second. Vote to approve item 0992-24. Any further questions, comments?
I think that's a good idea, because the Meacham Road section is my district.
Yeah,
I
that
know
was brought to me by Alder Garrett.
Any no further question? Comments? Move to approve.
We have a motion.
We have a motion. I keep mixing these motions second. All right, we have a motion and second to approve item 0992-24. Seeing no further questions, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item is 1068-24, communication sponsored by the chair presenting the meeting calendar for the Public Works and Service Committee for 2025. Staff recommendation is the Public Works and Service Committee keep the same date and time as currently in place. Public Works and Service Committee Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. The Tuesday, the week prior to the scheduled common council meeting.
Approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve item 1068. Seeing no further questions, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Our next item is 0751-24. Communication sponsored by the Lieutenant Person in Public Works Department, give an overall view presentation of our garbage pickup issues and what we are doing to address these issues. Mr. Rooney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Doing this right. I hit share.
Here we are.
I think I'll just,
I think you go down right, yeah, up, and then you hit over, go over. Right, see the screen right there?
yeah,
Click on that.
click on that.
That should give you a full screen. Maybe not.
Okay,
Maybe
all
I'm-
right.
Maybe I'm
If
hallucinating.
not, I'll just try.
That's the limit of
I'll
my.
just click on them one at a time. I hope everybody can. Can we move this thing around here? Yeah. Okay.
You can't get rid of the slides on the left side.
If I go to slideshow, Ron, can I just hold this thing down?
Thanks.
Oh, there we go, slideshow. That's-
Yeah,
oh,
if you click slideshow, I was about to say sorry.
Thank you. Slideshow. Okay,
Okay,
hopefully
there
this
we are.
works a little bit better. So, thank you, Madam Chair. So this is something we put together a little PowerPoint in response to the item that was brought forward by Alder Kelly. I do have Jake from MIS here. As I go through this, it's not a lot, it's about 8 or 9 slides to kind of tell you what's going on in the background with the process, what we're going to be doing with the complaints that we get. And if there's any technical questions on how that actually is done, Jake will be your answer questions because that's beyond my level of expertise. So what I want to do is basically go through all these topics. I got a slide basically one. So the number one issue is we needed to understand what the problem was at first. Needed to document it and put it into context. After that, we wanted to sort that documented data and analyze it. Then we wanted to categorize the data into complaints versus inquiries, and I'll tell you the reason why. And then we want to process those complaints through Polymorphic. It's a customer service software, if I'm saying that correct, Jake. And then into CityWorks, which is another software that the city has that helps us set up work orders and track processes and things like that. Out of that, we'd like to provide some automated responses, particularly for inquiries. And those can go right to social media or website, our Recollect app or news media. And then the complaints, those we can get directly back to the citizens if they want to be contacted directly back. So it's a big issue of trying to sort through what's an inquiry versus what's a complaint. And then analyze the CityWorks reports after we get it in this process. So we can check for improved response times, our processes, maybe it's personnel issue. Again, analyze the CityWorks reports for spatial analysis and see what we can improve. This may be related, perhaps we have a problem in Aldermanic District for some reason. I don't know why, but we'll be able to analyze that rather quickly, doing some spatial analysis. Maybe it's on certain collection areas where we pick up refuse. Maybe it's on a snow and ice route. Maybe it's on our pavement maintenance routes. We're already doing this on sidewalk inspections. I'll show you that at the end of the slide. And then we kind of want to give you a timeline, an implementation plan and what our goals are for this. I think I can just, there we go. So understanding. I can move around as I go. So again, under the, understand problem, document, put it in context. I want to start by telling you this data that we received, we did not get any data from Department of Customer Service until the 11th of September. We knew that they were collecting complaints. They were basically setting up a system where they would get the information down to DPW field operations, whether, phone call, email, things like that, getting it down there and then trying to get that from then the field office into the supervisor's hands and supervisors into the employee's hands. So basically it was pretty clunky way of organizing that. And we get that. This was, I think there was a presentation
at committee of the whole about this. There was a lot of data that had to be collected. We had to figure out what we had in front of us and then a way to process that data. So when we got this data back in early September, they had logged almost 4,300 data entries. When we looked at the data, it was logged in a simple Excel spreadsheet. Talking with MIS is not particularly the best format to manage data. The columns of data were not consistent. There were syntax issues with the dates they were taken for complaints or inquiries, various descriptions that described the same issue. There was no real setup fields where if somebody had a complaint, you would categorize it as this. They just simply typed in whatever the complaint was. The addresses, a lot of misspelled. There's, easily that could be done with pull down menus tied to our GIS. Even prefix and suffix continuity on street locations was not there. And then a lot of times the data was you put in the wrong column or even an empty cell. So what we tried to attempt to do is process some of that information just in the Excel data sheet that was sent to us. So we just were trying to figure out a way to even go through it. We use the find feature, but the only thing we could do to try to make heads or tails of what the information was. When we use the find feature for some key words, it generated over 11,000 hits. That meant there was mass amounts of duplicitous descriptions for the same exact issue that were entered in this Excel spreadsheet. So that was one issue. And then just looking at, to put it in context, if everything that customer service logged from January 2nd through September 11th were actually complaints, and they're not. A lot of them are just inquiries. What about this? What about that? Those aren't complaints, they're inquiries. But let's just say for conversation's sake, they were all complaints. And let's just say for conversation's sake, they were all related to refuse collection. And again, they're not. We stop at nearly 7,500 locations every day. We're picking up municipal solid waste over 5,000 locations a day, recycling nearly 2,400 a day, and we're stopping and doing almost 50 bulk pickups a day. So if these 4,200 lines that were entered were strictly about refuse collection, they were actual complaints, that represent about 1/3% of all of our stops in a given day, which is, to me, is not as an astounding of a number as it may appear just on its face. Oh, 4,200 complaints, there must be a problem. This averages out about 25 complaints a day. Now, granted, we did look at the data. Some of the complaints we got spiked a little bit around the beginning of July. We implemented our new collection schedules in because now we're transferring all of our refuse to a transfer station versus driving it out to Muskego or to Norway, depending on whether it's MSW recyclables. So, the pickup that we might have done at someone's house during that transition period, we put a lot more refuse trucks out on the routes to get it out to those locations and back. We might have been stopping at a different time of the day getting their refuse, right? So they might have been used to it for the last year and a half that we were there at this certain time. A lot of the complaints are like, they're not here to get my garbage yet. Well, they're gonna be there. They're just running on a different route. So there's some of the things we had to parse through to try to figure out, are these really 4,200 just complaints of poor service, or are they other things? So this is an example of, this is a simple screenshot. This is 35 entries, basically what you can see on Excel spreadsheet on your desktop out of the 4,200 plus. As you can see, the descriptors for the problem is, you can see they're just kind of type on, run on, whatever the issue is. Very difficult to try to categorize, group these types of complaints. Again, some of the columns, the data is in the wrong column, just no dates here, other things. So trying to clean that up was a task in and of itself. What we did with MIS is we got that data and we started going through it and scrubbed it to try to figure out, let's try to separate inquiries versus complaints, right? Inquiries are good. We still need to have people ask questions, and there's a way to address those. And then there are complaints, which are more, need to be responded to in a more timely fashion. So what we did is we looked through all that information, then we created some pull down menus for integration with this polymorphic customer service software. So between DPW staff and MIS, you know, we categorized out of all that 4,200 lines of different stuff that was in there, about 37 IDs and codes, okay, that we try to boil down that, hey, these are the things that should be going into polymorphic as a category, so then it can get routed to the right location for service. And then what we came out of that further was finding out that these should be routed to 10 different locations then, based on these 37 categories. And they're either going to go to a DPW division, and I've got a dozen of those in Public Works, there's many of them, or they're going to go somewhere else, not even DPW related, nothing that we can even control. So we sorted these by areas of responsibility, street maintenance. So, you know, some of these are the same color, they're going to go maybe a certain division. Some may go to the sign shop. Some have to go to refuse collection. Some may be an issue for our transfer station. Electricians, you know, there'd be street lights out or what have you, or traffic stuff. Engineering. Some have to go back to the contractor who maybe is creating a problem out there. And then, of course, some of these complaints that come in are really need to go to utility companies. We're not responsible for them. It may be a We Energy street light out. I mean, so it could be an issue with the railroad crossing. Again, these got logged, but these aren't even complaints that we can even do anything about, other than make sure we collect them, categorize, and forward them to the correct entity. So again, that's parsing out all that 4,200 plus. There's a lot of stuff that, you know, we can control, some stuff we can't. All right, next slide here. So a little bit about CityWorks and polymorphic integration. You know, this is where DPW kind of gave MIS the direction, and Jake is here, and if there's technical questions that need to be asked, he'll be able to help you. So essentially what the plan is that, you know, customer service can receive a phone call. They ideally get an email, or it could be in person. Someone who doesn't want to use a computer can walk right into the desk. They can get an issue in front of them in one of those three forms or fashions that can be resolved by DPW. If it's not in an inquiry and is indeed a complaint, a request can be created in polymorphic. That's a citizen engagement process management software. If it's an inquiry, it can be handled in another template. So we can start setting up some auto responses, or just put them right on our web or social media updates. So if there's something that just needs an information thing, it can be automatically triggered that way. It doesn't require the same type of attention. These requests, they can be updated in both CityWorks and polymorphic, so they kind of go back and forth with each other. So something gets done at CityWorks, you'll see it polymorphic and vice versa. Jake can talk about that in detail if you want to ask him that question. That communication's two-way. I mean, we can do a lot of things. We can add comments to these. We can take photos of these locations. We can update statuses. So these requests will end up in CityWorks, and we'll be able to have a status on them based on the results of the investigation and our associated response to it. So, don't know what that thing says up there, how to get rid of that. There we go. So again, we're going to process complaints through polymorphic and CityWorks, just kind of continuation of the last slide. So CityWorks has mobile apps that can be used to view service requests in real time. So it can be viewed on your smartphone, it can be on a tablet. So a request would be submitted and automatically could be updating a map in an inbox of the crew responsible for that type of request. So this is an example of some of the stuff that they're working on right now. Then the crew can open up and resolve that case within the app, add a picture, attachment, relay comments, take care of it right in the spot. This is the stuff that's happening right now. This is the sausage that's being made in the meat grinder. It's not complete yet, but this is where we're going with that. So we have a really, really good process, and I'll get into a little more detail, and Jake can answer that. So the service requests, like I said, once they get into CityWorks, we can view these on a map. Supervisors can assign them to a crew that's in that area, or they're working on that route. This is the type of detail that we can glean out of there. They click on this, in an application, like I said, on a tablet or a phone, and they're off to the races, being able to do that type of work. Right now, how it's happening is we're getting this information. It's more or less being, printed out and handed out. This is where we're going to this automation, where this can happen. So for all intents and purposes, it's still being handled the same way as it was 3, 4 months, 5 months ago. We're working on a better process here. So again, when they get to the field, a field crew can log in, see the requests that have been submitted to them. It's just some examples of what they're working on with CityWorks and MIS. They can open their request, get all the information they need out of it. They can service the request, select whatever responses, whether it's pending, they took care of it. Maybe they got out there, it's no longer an issue, whatever it is. And then after syncing, the request disappear from the cruise map. They've been responded to, and they either go back in the queue as they got to do some follow-up, or they've been closed and the responses can get made. So managing these completed service requests. So once given a status by the field crew, CityWorks communicates the changes back to the submitter. So we can submit these right back if they so request them to the submitter. Say, here you go. You've gotten a status update as to what happened. Supervisors can also and managers can see the results of the requests submitted. We get weekly reports on the number of outcomes, whether things are still open, whether they're complete, just whatever the issue was, maybe something, we couldn't actually service it. So, the office inboxes, these will filter those requests, and then like you can have, this is like a sample example. We can break down request statuses over a defined period with graphs, see what's still open, what's closed, what's completed, what's maybe been referred to another, like whatever, utility company, the railroad, or what have you. So there's ways to move the requests around that we don't even service. So let me slide this down here. So again, providing those automated responses. Those are the type of things, if we get inquiries, we want to be able to get those. They don't need to go to our field crew. They don't need to go to our field operations. These are things Polymorphic should be able to sort through, tell you exactly what it is, if it's an inquiry, and we can then load these up on a social media, DPW website, put them on Recollect, and or the news media, and get that information out there. So the more we put it out there, the less inquiries we're hoping there will be. So we're essentially, it's kind of like we're starting with the FAQ, and we're trying to get that information out for consumption. And then on the flip side of that is the complaint. So we can directly communicate back to the citizens through the CityWorks and Polymorphic integration. These are the requests, the work orders, and the statuses. So, based on what happens at request, again, a descriptive status is applied. We can use it for analytical purposes. We can run a report on a dashboard, again, seeing, what we're doing, gain some insight on on these statistics by reviewing them, see, what it is we can improve on and where that would be. So again, the service requests in CityWorks, they have a variety of fields that can be measured. We'll be able to calculate average length of time it takes to respond to and complete a request based on the request type. This will give us the opportunity to strategize, on our budget and staffing process and personnel. So we'll be able to create some metrics internally, right? On, what does it take to do an average response on this particular issue, and then see if we can improve it, or maybe that's over time, we'll say that's about our average response. And then if we do some that are higher than that, why, and try to investigate those. So that's all part of the power of having this, in a software program where we can actually analyze data. So what are we going to do with that? We're obviously going to determine, what to improve and where. So again, we can use these analytics to see, are we having certain issues, like I said, in aldermanic districts? Is it on a certain collection route? Is it in the A, in the gold area, or is it in the D, in the green thing? We can see if they're particularly certain routes. Is it on certain snow and ice routes? If we're in the districts plowing, is it always this particular street or streets that aren't getting attended to? And why is that? Again, we can track these things. We're already doing, like I said, for sidewalk inspection. We're doing it right now with the city engineers group. They're walking the city streets. They're selecting parcels on a map. There's sidewalks that need inspection. They're entering the number of squares that need to be replaced, put the reasons in why they're not compliant with city code. It's pretty cool. This is an example of what we're already doing in CityWorks on sidewalk inspection. This is what we're gonna do with the complaints. So this is pretty geographical, right? We inspect about a fifth of the city every year. We get to the city in about 5 years. So this is it. These are all of our sidewalk inspections in this geographical part of the city. So again, we'll be able to identify what the issues are. You know, it's all relative, right? We can put in the defects on a sidewalk that need compliance issues that need to be taken care of. Same thing, whatever the issues are we have with a particular complaint, we can say how we're going to address it, what the problem was, what the fix is. And then, for example, for the sidewalks, we can even now, we'll be able to code the stuff that was just approved in the budget. You know, if we see a tree out there that causes a sidewalk problem in the city right of way, we can code it right in CityWorks now. So that gets separated out, city pays for that, not the property owner. So these are things that we're doing. This will be an expansion of what we're doing in CityWorks. So trying to give you a little timeline, almost at the end here. We met, like again, with customer service department regarding as we first got wind of this, what was kind of going on in late July of this year. We had a clean and green Racine meeting that we attended. Again, like I told you, we just received the complaint spreadsheet, you know, in early September. We set up our very first meeting with customer service and MIS less than a week after we got that spreadsheet with 4,200 data entries on it. Since then, we've been meeting with MIS and our field operations almost weekly on this, trying to figure out a way to move this thing along, going through what we need in as far as DPW, and also what we're going to need help on with MIS developing this from polymorphic into CityWorks, and then obviously, you know, training our staff to use this. A lot of our staff just don't use CityWorks. You know, they drive around and pick up waste. They're not using a tablet every day, so that's something that is part of it. It's not going to be difficult, but it's stuff that we have to still do. Eventually, MIS is looking at, you know, we're looking at, you know, having the public facing part of this offer now while we get the data entered into polymorphic and then the integration in CityWorks. So that's going on right now this fall. So, you know, essentially customer service is still going to get the phone calls, the emails and the walk-ins, and we'll manage the data. We're hoping to be able to put something out there public facing maybe early next year, where this is something that you just go right online. If you don't even have to call customer service, right? So if you have the ability to go online, log your issue, it'll go right to polymorphic, right to CityWorks, right to DPW. So that'll help also reduce the load at customer service, maybe take care of other issues. Again, customer service, they're gonna, deal with walk-ins, phone calls, or what have you. Polymorphic, is you're creating, those pre-generated responses using essentially, AI, to deal with those inquiries. Those inquiries and AI responses will help DPW to better shape public, like I said, websites, social media posts, and other content on Recollect. So the information's out there. They may not even start with the phone call in the first place. And then implement CityWorks hard copy work orders late this year. So once we get there with CityWorks and polymorphic, until we can get everybody a tablet and a device, we'll probably be printing those actual hard copies in CityWorks. Supervisors will give them the staff will do them. We'll punch them in at the end of the day with our office help inside. Again, analyze performance of these reports. Hopefully we'll get this done in the first half of 2025, so we can start figuring out, what our baseline is, how we can improve it, if possible. And lastly, this is really important. We're going to concentrate really on refuse first before we get into every other little area that can be, drifted into polymorphic and CityWorks. So this is talking about refuse collection, MSW, recycling, and bulk pickup. Then we can expand on everything else. So, even when we looked at the 4,200 stuff, we parsed out actual complaints, got rid of all the duplicitous entries. a lot of this is related to refuse collection, right? But there are stuff in there about potholes, dead animals, you name it. So, but this is the area that seemed to have the most, so we want to get on this and make sure we get this humming and it's correct. So that's what we're going to be starting with. So, so last slide. So basically, you know, the residents also we're gonna need them to help do their part too. And this part of, again, social media posts, the new comms director coming on, just reinforce these things. Get your refuse up by 7 a.m. That's gonna eliminate a lot of complaints right there. You know, and we'll pick it up before we go home. You know, follow your collection calendar, get that into their hands, but the easiest way for them to consume it. Make sure they're properly preparing, separating, and placing the refuse at the curb and alley, and then try to expand, you know, the downloading the app or signing up for Recollect automated responses. We have about 70% of the residents using this now, so that's good. But we'd love to ramp this up to, you know, to almost full compliance. I kind of put this. I saw this in the comic in the paper a few weeks ago, so I thought I'd throw this in here. So it's not my lunch, it's a big bag of garbage. My dad missed the trash man. I'm to drop this into the school dumpster. So, you know, so it's kind of funny. This happens to everybody. Sometimes some of these complaints too is, you know, they just forgot to get it out there too. And, you know, they call in and is that really a complaint or is that so? We're all got to work a little bit better to do things to improve the situation. So it's a collaborative effort. We're going to do everything. We need the citizens to do their part as well. And we know that. And I think they know that too. So that's kind of it. Briefly to give you an upgrade, Jake is here if you want to understand the technical things that go on in the background. We're working to have this where we'll be able to do things like this, you know, with an employee in the field. You know, that's going to take some issues with MIS getting his hardware. You know, not every city employee DPW has a city issued smartphone or tablet. They don't. They're not going to put that on their own personal device. So you got to be able to get enough of these things where they can sign the vehicles, train them how to use it, and all those things. So that's our update. That's what we're going to try to do to improve this. I would expect that this is something that I'd like to be able to come back to this committee or whatever committee of the whole, you know, maybe right before summer and give you an idea of what we learned in this process and how could we think we can do to improve it. But we're not quite there with the process. Jake, you want can tell you how things are going with the polymorphic integration team and CityWorks and all those things. So that's all I have for you. Thank you for your time. I don't know if you have.
I have no questions.
I have no questions. Alder Kelly?
I just want to thank you for your presentation that you always do really great presentations and like that. I just wanted to clarify on the timeline. They can get mobile requests real time. So I heard you just say that, you know, the mobile devices and training them up. So you said by late spring, early summer, you're estimating?
Ideally, Jake's got to get the whole thing done with polymorphic integration team to get it to fall into CityWorks. The CityWorks part of it, Jake, I don't want to speak for you, to set up those templates that we can process work orders in and look at them on a mobile device. Is that not as difficult as the integration part, correct?
Yeah, so the CityWorks side, hi, my name's Jake, by the way, the data analyst for the city in the MIS department. So yes, the CityWorks, all the request templates that John showed you in that slide before, whatever the breakdown, the color coded, you know, the responsible divisions, all those request templates are set up already. They're ready to go. We're just waiting on Polymorphic, the software vendor who's in charge of our customer relationship management software, to finish building that integration between their system and our system. We had some difficulties. Frankly, I've never experienced quite the difficulties that we're experiencing now in my professional career with this company. Not to say that Polymorphic is doing anything wrong with their preferred integrator with them to us. Was no show to meetings, didn't respond to emails for almost a month. So there was some significant setbacks that I absolutely did not foresee. So really the heavy lifting on our side is completely done. Mostly was waiting. to get that final little bit graded. Once that happens, like John was saying before, request comes in from the Department of Customer Service, and it flows in CityWorks nicely, and it just ends up in the responsible bucket for each different division. They can do the work from there. Really manual intervention needed.
And I think it'll be until we're outfitted, with the devices that go out in the vehicle. So we're not gonna get a device for every employee on it. I've got 70 folks just in field operations alone. But, we're gonna probably get enough to get the fleet. So there'll be enough tablets, whatever, to go with this type of operation, if it's refuse collection, street maintenance. So when they're out on those activities, it doesn't really matter, who has let's make sure it's in the vehicle, because we're not going out and doing anything not in a vehicle, right? Everything we do, we're taking a truck too. So when they're out there, if they're in a solid waste refuse truck and they're on this collection route, and we get something that comes in, we'll send it out. They'll be able to open and say, that's in my area. I'll go respond to it. So that's kind of what we're talking about. When are we going to get to those devices? That's stuff we're going to work with Jake's boss, Adele Edwards, on to help us with that. And hopefully get there, hopefully by middle of next year, have the stuff in the field,
Yeah, what we do typically, what I set up for outside contractors that we use our CityWorks software before, is we create a few crews or like a crew login for each different division. So you get a crew 1, 2, 3. It doesn't matter where the device is and which device it is. It just, you have to use the crew login and then you're there and see everything. So it's not like the user doesn't follow the device or anything like that. So as long as we have enough devices to basically cover the bases, then they could be used interchangeably. I mean, I could pick up any of these phones right now and go log into the crew and it'll pick up garbage if I felt like it. But my Honda Civic doesn't have a lot of room in it. So
Yeah, doesn't compact either.
So, in essence, we'll be running on CityWorks, but with paper work orders, if you will. We'll just at the field office, we'll print those off and kind of sign them. They'll do the work, and then they'll come back in with the stack and say, yeah, these are done or these are open, and then we'll go in and so we'll be able to, but that's not going to be the most efficient way. So we'll be able to track that, but the responses will be lagging because it's not like just bypasses. It goes right from someone's desktop at home to somebody's tablet in the field. So that's when I think we'll really see how snappy, we can be when it comes to certain components.
Sounds like you guys are moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean,
Exciting.
it's a little overwhelming when you first get the information, but I think this stuff is good. It can only improve our performance, and we don't know if our performance is good, bad, or indifferent if we don't have any data or baselines to compare it to. This will give us that information. So I tell you, when I first started going through this, I saw, wow, we got 4,200 complaints. I think anybody that was shocked. But then when I kind of started going through this, I'm like, this isn't as monumentally a problem as one may think. I get it. It's a problem to your constituent. I get that when their refuse is picked up, and it's a big problem. But it's not the systemic problem I think people might think when they first hear 4,200 complaints in the first 8 months of recording data. It really isn't. They're not necessarily all complaints, like we said, and a lot of duplicitous stuff in there. So, but this is really good. It's good for us. Helps us reflect on what we're doing. What we are doing good and what we're doing poorly.
Well, thank you for that. I think a committee of the whole would be great.
We'd be glad to do it next year. We get kind of all the pieces in place, and we're really humming.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Second.
Oh, thank you. Probably-
Move to receive and file the item.
That was 0751-24.
Thank you.
So moved by Alder Mack.
Second.
Aye.
Aye. No names. No names? No names. It's voted. All right, all right. Thanks, everybody.
Hi, guys.
Nice.
This committee today, Sharon.
That's right. Nope.
This will go to the first county council meeting in December, and there's not a second one.